This is not an easy topic to talk about, but I think that's what makes it so important because it's kind of the not talking about it that leads to it in the first place. This is some advice that I wish I had heard when I was growing up from the age of about 15 till now. This is something I've kind of had to build on my own and come to terms with, and it's been really hard. But I feel like I'm finally at a place where I don't carry as much shame anymore and I can see it for what it really is. I want to talk about girls maturing into adults, into women, and the shame that is put on so many of us. I want young girls to know that sexually maturing is normal, it's a part of life, it's not something to be ashamed of. And I really had to battle this feeling of shame and guilt and almost disgust that I was feeling as I was being met with these feelings of maturing and growing up and wanting different things. And I think it's really hard for a lot of girls who have religion as a big portion of their lives, especially their parents. And I want all the girls who feel insecure about this to know that their parents' beliefs are not their responsibility. And that's a hard concept to grasp because, we're all brought up with our parents putting their beliefs at the forefront of the way they parent, and we grow up thinking that that's what's right and that's what's normal and how we should think and feel and act. And I think a lot of girls are a victim to the patriarchy, and a lot of religions have deemed female sexualization and like sexual maturity as being something dirty and wrong and bad. And the concept of keeping yourself till marriage, keeping yourself pure for one man, is all rooted in control. And I really don't like it. I hate it. I grew up with a semi strict dad and a mom who did not feel the same way that he does. He still feels a lot of these things, but I wasn't really given much privacy in terms of having relationships when I was younger. Even now, it's something I have to actively fight for. And that made me at first feel really guilty for wanting to like explore my body and explore an intimate relationship with a partner because it felt wrong and I never really understood why. Like if it was something that felt so natural to me, why did it also feel wrong and shameful? And why were boys my age or even my brother, why was he not made to feel the same way with the same circumstances? And I just felt this difference and it really bothered me. And there was nothing I could do about it because I live with my parents and I have to follow their rules. And like deviating from that would mean like creating a lot of drama and anguish and pain and just not a good time, And I'm the kind of person that doesn't like to make issues and like a hostile environment, especially in my home. So I never really contested it, but I realized that it made me share a lot less of my experience with my parents. And I'm quite close with my mom, but even then I didn't feel comfortable sharing a lot of the things I wanted to, with all these new experiences growing up, having a first boyfriend, things like that. And it brought me so much anxiety and pain and shame. And now looking back, I really wish I just had someone to talk to and someone to tell me that it's okay to feel the way I do. It's okay to want to grow up. It's okay to grow up. Like, you don't have to stay this perfect, innocent flower ready to gift to a man. Like, oof, that concept just blows my mind and it makes me so mad, so furious. So, I want every girl to know that if you are raised in a household that makes you feel ashamed for becoming intimate with a partner that you do not have to feel that way. No one can make you feel anything. You are in control of your own beliefs, of the way you let yourself feel. People can say things to you, people can treat you certain ways, but it's up to you to like stand strong for what you believe in. And even if it doesn't make sense for you to outwardly contest that and like argue your case, I just want you to know inside that it's okay, that you belong and your voice matters and your decisions over what you choose to do matter. No matter what anyone says, no matter what your religion says, if something feels right for you and it makes you feel good inside and not bad, or it's not harming you, there's nothing wrong with it. And if you're not harming others. So a bit of my backstory. I had my first high school, middle school boyfriend at like 13, 14. And I didn't tell my parents at all because I felt like it wasn't allowed. And I think this notion of not speaking about things, I think a lot of parents don't speak about like sexual relationships at a young age because they think it will encourage it to happen quicker than it would in its own time. But I really feel like not talking about it makes it more taboo and makes it more curious, because you see like movies and other people set these ideas in your mind of what's to come and like what you think is what you should be doing. And then you may end up experimenting with things like far sooner than maybe you're ready for, even if you don't know it. So I think parents should do a better job at really explaining to kids and young teens what's to come and really making it clear that there's no rush. And there is definitely peer pressure when it comes to having your first relationship and, taking all the steps that you can take in that journey. So I had my first, kind of young teen boyfriend at like 13, 14, and had my first kiss. And then I had my second kind of more serious high school boyfriend when I was 16. And I wish I would have known more about how like having sex and doing sexual things affect you mentally, because I think looking back I would have waited longer before delving into that realm. But because I don't know, because it's not talked about, because it's not normalized as something that will happen eventually in your life, you just kind of really want to know what it's all about and maybe rush into it thinking that, this is it, this is what you've been waiting for. But, having come a long way from there, I could have avoided a lot of traumas and like circumstances that looking back I really wish I could have avoided. And of course everything that happens, like you learn from it and you grow from it, and I wouldn't be who I am without the experiences that I've had. But I would really like to just shield a lot of young girls from experiencing things too soon because they didn't know anything different, or they didn't know otherwise. There's no rush. Let me just say that. You have literally your whole life to do anything you've heard of or thought of or could think of. And taking those steps, like any validation from your peers that you could get from that, literally means nothing. Like, you and what you think of yourself is all that matters. And I want you to know that you don't have to be ashamed of yourself and your actions. Oh, sorry. This chair's squeaking. Anyway, I experienced some things that I wish I hadn't have experienced, and I wish at the time I could have had someone to speak to about it and maybe guide me in a way that, could have avoided that or just made me feel better about the situations and changed how I interpreted that. Because following in the next few months and years, like, it took me such a long time to unlearn all the things that I'd been kind of absorbing from the adults in my life, instead of someone sitting me down and just directly speaking to me and opening up to me about what I can expect and why it's important to wait, you know? Everyone, at least in my life, everyone's like very anti-sex and says, like, you know, don't have sex when you're young, or like you need to wait till a certain age, you need to wait till marriage even. And they never really say why, you know? And a lot of people think, I feel like a lot of young people think it's just because adults want to like stop you from having a good time or enjoying yourself. And it's only kind of now that I almost realize why that is. But I want more people to talk about the why. And I think when we're young, you know, your brain is so vulnerable to new experiences. And for the most part, people you're trying stuff with, hopefully, is your own age. And they're also just learning a lot of things for the first time. And they can really hurt you and give you a really bad experience, even if they don't mean to. And going through things like that at a young age can be really shaping of the way you perceive yourself and relationships and sexual interactions, and it can really set you up for a hard time, no pun intended, if, like, you know, you kind of learn the wrong things. And I think this is something that needs to be talked about more, because so many girls and women that I know have experienced really horrible things in their young years, despite everyone's parents being like, don't do this, don't do that. And I find that the kids who have, or now the young adults who have the least amount of, you know, traumatic incidences or just experiences that they wish they could forget, were the ones who had parents who kind of were more open with everything. You know, sex isn't this like massive deal that changes your life. It's something that's a part of life, and it's like something that you get to in your own time and eventually, and it's not something to be ashamed of. I seriously hate the notion that when teenage boys have sex for the first time specifically, that they're praised and it's like, hey, well done, like, yeah, good job, like, you get him. And then when a girl has sex, especially at a younger age than maybe what's common, it's like, oh, she's a slut, she's a whore, like, she's impure, she's dirty, like, just these horrible things. And you can like know that it's not true and stuff, or feel differently, but if many people say it, you know, you can really start to internalize that. And I really don't want young people to experience that, because it changes so much in how you perceive yourself and how you know, carry yourself going forward. And it makes me really mad. It makes me so angry, and I feel really passionate about this, and that's why I'm making this, because I want at least to help one person, one young person, maybe a young girl who's feeling like really ashamed for wanting to, you know, grow up a bit and mature and move into womanhood and feel like powerful and feel good about herself. But so many older people make you feel guilty and shameful, and like just make you feel like a fraud, you know, like you're not a real woman, you know, what do you know? Like, this notion also that like young people don't know what real love feels like. It's really dismissive, and I think young people have such a unique perspective of the world, because they haven't kind of had their dreams crushed yet, and they can just see things really clearly and purely. And obviously, like, hormones can play a part and can distort the way that you see things, but to dismiss all young people of knowledge about feelings and body autonomy and stuff, I think is wrong. And I really want people to be more open and discuss things more. Like, if this is going to be a part of everyone's life, why is it not something we're educated on properly, you know, fully? Like, what are the mental impacts that having sexual interactions at a young age have? Like, why is it that so many people try and stop that from happening, you know? And I myself am not a religious person, and I'm very curious of religion as an outsider who hasn't really been raised to believe a lot of the, you know, common thought processes and theories and such. So seeing how my friends who have religious backgrounds can be so heavily affected by this sort of phase transition in their life, it seems really hard. And I'm lucky enough that I've been able to work through all these kind of subconscious beliefs that have been put on me, and I can feel more empowered in my choices and less guilty and shameful for the things that I believe to be true. But my heart really goes out to everyone who has and or is struggling with this transition. But I really want you to have faith in your beliefs, and if you feel like something is right for you and you feel safe and comfortable and you want to take the steps that you want to take them. I don't want you to feel any sort of shame or guilt put on you by anyone else. And that's what I have to say. I don't know if there's anything else I want to add, but I really don't think women should be made to feel ashamed of their bodies and sexually maturing and taking that next step in their life of becoming young women and doing the things that they want to do. Okay? Like, let's have some equality between the way we treat young boys and young girls, or like teens. I'm talking about teens. Yeah. Just know that you are not alone if you feel shameful or guilty or anything negative, because it's so normal. Like, look at how our society is structured. We are literally raised with these boundaries and this shame placed on us. And it's up to you, it's up to us, it's up to womanhood, womankind, to break these stigmas and thought cycles and shame, because it's genuinely the most natural thing. Like, it's just a part of growing up, and we should not be made to feel guilty for growing up just like everyone else. So this is really some advice that I wish I could have heard at a younger age. It would have saved me so much pain and suffering and anxiety, and it would have probably empowered me to just explore my feelings more before sharing them with other people. So yeah, I hope you have a great day. I hope something what I said resonated, maybe made you feel a bit more seen. Comment down below if there's anything you want me to expand on or mention or talk about, or if there's anything you want to share. I would love to hear your experience, if you've maybe experienced something like what I have. Yeah. Okay. Bye.